Okay, guys, this is video 5 in the series. It's the fourth video where I'm going over my weekly method for analyzing opportunities in the upcoming week for the market. We've got the USD CAD Forex currency pair here pulled up. It's a 30-minute chart. I'm not going to go over how I've have all these lines determined. Please watch the first 3 videos. They're very important. I just don't want to go over them again here and be redundant. Each video explains a new concept, and they're built sequentially upon each other. So to understand video 5, you have to have seen the first 4. So anyway, if you haven't done so, please do so. Or else, you'll probably won't get much out of this. Moving right along. So now we have, like I said, our daily supply zone figured out. We know there was more orders there because price dropped. There was more sell orders than buy orders there. Price dropped. We know that it was, overbought on the weekly relative supply-demand curve. That's where, as you can see here, from here we had a pretty quick drop-off. So that's a little supply zone. But the problem is, it's basically right in the middle of the week's range. We want to see it overbought on, multiple time frames, and it just doesn't qualify there. So we start narrowing it down. So we found these 2 levels here where price had a substantial drop from them in these 2 areas. These are the 2 that I like the most. The next thing that I look to add to find out how high probability these are is I look to add basically pivot points. Okay. Now I like to use a site. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a site. You can Google Forex pivot points, and there's a site called actionforex.com. It's usually the first, second, or third result in Google. This is the site that I find the pivot levels that they determine are the most accurate for picking likely turning points in the market. In the Forex market, it's a 24-hour market, so when you consider your day to start and your day to end on your chart, it's going to affect where your daily pivot points are. And also how you calculate your pivots is going to alter that. The high, the low, and the close is how I calculate. Some people include the open. In fact, a lot of pivot points do. I find that I've tested that out, and I've found it doesn't provide as high a probability as if I just use the high, low, and close. And basically, my day starts and ends at 5 p.m. New York. So that's 5 p.m. New York time. That's Eastern Standard Time. I don't know the GMT. But the nice thing is Action Forex does all of that for me. They use the formula that I found works the best. They start and finish their day when, at the time that I find has the highest result for probability of creating a change in price direction. So that's what I use. Now, I'm not going to start with the daily. I start with the monthly. Okay, and I want to see where the monthly is. So let's go down to USD CAD. I'm going to highlight it right here. And don't worry if you can't read the numbers on the video. I'll go ahead and read them off. And the first thing is I see the pivot point for the monthly is 1.0244. So looking and seeing where price is right now, and price, the close of last week is 0392. So we already know we can go basically to, let's see what's up, 0392. Well, we don't really have anything at 0392. Our R2 is 1010. R3 is 1.1519. Okay, so that's good because that is above where current price is. And again, the higher price gets, the more likely it is to turn. Okay, trends get old, and when they get old, they die. And when they die, a new trend takes its place in the opposite direction. Okay, so 1.1519. Let's go ahead and see where that is. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading. That's 1.15. I'm quite a bit off here. Okay, so the pivot point here is 0244. That's below current price. I'm looking to see if anything falls in between this zone or this zone. And the R1 level is 0753. So R1 is above this zone substantially, by about 100 pips. So we don't have any monthly levels that fall within this yellow zone or this yellow zone. Okay, so now I go down to the weekly levels and I look at USDCAD and I look to see if any of the weekly levels fall within those zones. And by the way, the two most important levels I find are S1 and R1. Okay, that's where you're most likely to find turning points. The pivot point most would tell you is most important, and that is for determining trend, but I use these to determine turning points, and S1 and R1 are the two that I find the most likely to create a turning point situation. So here we have the weekly R1 is 0617. Let's see where 0617 lies. 0617 happens to be right here. 0617. Let me draw this out. Let me go ahead and edit it. And I'm going to go ahead and make the weekly pivot points in purple. They're going to be a purple, kind of dotted line. They're smaller. Well, let's go ahead and change it actually. Okay, so this purple line is my R1 level for the weekly. It's a weekly R1 pivot point. That's fairly significant. You will find price reactions oftentimes occur among the S1 and R1 pivot levels, particularly the weekly and monthly levels. Those are going to be stronger than the daily, just as everything else in trading is. The higher time frames hold more weight. Okay, so the great thing about this is R1 falls exactly between our two yellow lines. And so that shows that within here, we now have even a higher likelihood of price reversing at this point. Okay, now I'm going to go down to the daily pivot points, and we're going to take a look at those here. And I'm going to see, so here's USDCAD, those are the pivots. Now I'm going to see R1, R2, and R3. So R1 is 0447. Let's see where that is. 0447. Okay, so R1 is right about here. I would not consider taking this this coming week. It's very likely price will react there and turn down for a little bit. But remember, I want the highest probability stuff. I don't want I want to see everything lining up in my favor, not one or two things, or everything, or most things. And if you recall, this is at least for the time being, this is the no trade zone. That pivot falls right in the no trade zone. So guess what? No trade. I'm sorry, the R1 level. Now I'm going to look at R2, 0520, and I find 0520 to be right here. And this is actually, again, really nice because now we have a daily pivot. I'm going to do this in gray. So that's a daily S2. Let me make this a little bit bolder here, actually. So we have a daily S2 level that falls right within our yellow zone here, and a weekly R1 level, which falls right between our yellow zone there. So guess what? Both of these zones, not only did they occur a supply zone that's apparent on the 30-minute time frame, they're also within a daily supply zone. They're also at a relatively overbought period of price trading over last week. They also both contain a pivot point within them. Of the two, the purple one, this top yellow zone has the the stronger pivot point where it's a weekly, not a daily pivot, but they both contain it. So this is looking really good so far. Now let's go ahead and take a look at R3, which is 0559, and 0559 is right here, and that's not a bad level. It's definitely nice, but it's not something I'm going to be focusing too much on, just because it doesn't fall within our two yellow zones. Remember, once we determine our daily levels, we're looking to basically break that down into if it falls within an overbought or oversold for the week, and then I look to find the one or two best levels on a shorter term time frame within that I see basically price move away from quickly. And of those two, I'd say right here and up here. Okay, so those are the ones we're going to focus on, and that's where our trading will be. So now we've gone over pivots. That's how I determine them, and so that gives you a good example of that. And then I'm going to go ahead and that kind of concludes this video. We're going to go ahead and pick it up on the next video, and I'll show you guys the next step.